We're at 38th in Chicago, right where George Floyd lost his life. The police chief showed up here. Chief, you came here to do what? We watched you walk up to this memorial. What did you come here to do today?
I came to pay my respects to Mr. Floyd, and I came to just offer prayer for his loved ones, his family, and our community that's hurting. I grew up about a block from here, and this has been so impactful for me, for this department, but for our city. But I also wanted to be in a space where people who love Mr. Floyd, I wanted to be in a space where people are talking about how do we heal and how do we move from this. And so it's going to take time, and I think that everyone here is trying to everyone here is trying to do the best that they can to offer what their feelings, and those are all valid. But I just needed to be here in this space today, and offer my respects.
Let me ask you about what happened with Officer Derek Chauvin. First off, he had 18 complaints filed against him. 16 of those complaints were declined. They did not do anything to him. 2 of those complaints he did get censured. Should he have been on the force in the first place?
Well, we need to absolutely look at the record of those types of complaints that officers or employees get throughout. There's all types of other things that come into play in terms of whether it's grievances and arbitrations and those things. But at the end of the day, our community members need to know that the men and women that put this badge on, that they are doing so in service to them, and they should not have to doubt. They should not have to doubt the integrity and if they're going to be treated in a compassionate and professional way. And so those are things that as we move forward, we need to get better in terms of this profession. Absolutely.
Can I ask you why you decided? I have not seen this happen this quickly before. In past cases, I have covered many protests around the world, including what happened in 2014 in the Michael Brown case in Ferguson, Missouri. Why did you decide that firing the officers would happen as quickly as it did? Many departments do not fire officers that fast.
There are absolute truths in life. We need air to breathe. The killing of Mr. Floyd was an absolute truth that it was wrong. And so it did not I did not need days or weeks or months or processes or bureaucracies to tell me that what occurred out here last Monday, it was wrong.
I want to ask you what you thought when you saw the video that we all saw of Mr. Floyd on the ground, his face smashed into the ground, gulping almost like a fish out of water, with Chauvin's knee on his neck for more than 7 minutes. What did you see? What did that do to you as the chief, seeing your officer on top of this man?
There was a visceral reaction. I will just say that I was emotional. Shortly after I saw that, I put a call out to our local black ministers, activists, and leaders. We met that morning, and I will tell you that it was, and I asked them to start with prayer, because that's what we needed, and that's what I needed. And so it was an emotional reaction that I've never experienced in my career. Never experienced in my career.
So many times officers are fired and they get their jobs back with the help of the union. They end up getting paid out by the city. Do you see that happening to these 4 officers in the case that you fired?
That's going to be a process down the road. All I can be responsible is for the power that I had, which is an employment matter decision. And so I felt that I made the right decision.
Why did you fire them, though? Was this an absolute violation of guidelines and policy?
In my mind, this was a violation of humanity. This was a violation of the oath that the majority of the men and women that put this uniform on, this goes absolutely against it. This is contrary to what we believe in. And so, again, what occurred to me, it was an absolute truth that it was wrong. Period.
The Floyd family happens to be on live with us talking to Don Lemon. Is there anything that you would like to say to this family who is in utter despair and grief right now?
I would say to the Floyd family that I'm absolutely devastatingly sorry for their loss. And if I could do anything to bring Mr. Floyd back, I would do. I would move heaven and earth to do that. So I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time, Chief. I appreciate the time. You know, people, you heard the Chief and you saw the Chief take his hat off.
Sir,
take his hat off
will you call off the National Guard from
and
this site tonight?
say that he absolutely is sorry for what happened.
Sarah, can you do me a favor?
To
Can you
George
get
Floyd?
the Chief? Is there any way you can get the Chief back?
He said that to the family. Yes, I can, Don. Yes.
Because
yes.
I think I would.
Is
I
there
think
something
the family
you'd like me
may.
to ask? Yes?
Yeah, I think the family may have a question or two for him.
If the family wants to ask a question, please. Yeah. I'll turn around. You tell me the question, and I will turn to him and ask whatever
Sarah.
you want.
I hate to cut you
whatever
off
the
there.
Floyd family would like me to ask.
Falonis,
No, absolutely.
You have a question
Absolutely.
for the Chief?
Couldn't hear you.
Falonis, do you have a question for the Chief?
Oh, the question that I have, I want to know if he's going to get justice for my brother and arrest all the officers and convict them.
Can you hear him, Sarah?
Okay. I just want to make sure I've got this right. He wants to know if he
justice
is going
for
to
his
get
brother,
justice
arrest and convict
arrest
all the officers.
The other officers. All the officers. I will ask him that question. Just give me 1 second.
Yes, ma'am.
Chief, may I ask you, I'm so sorry, and I apologize. I'm so sorry. I know, I'm so sorry, but the Floyd family actually has a question for you. They just talked to me in my ear. I'm sorry. The Floyd family is asking me a question. I apologize. I'm sorry. The Floyd family has asked if you are going to get justice for George Floyd by making sure that the other officers are arrested and that eventually convicted. They want to, and I know that there are things that you cannot control, but they want to know if the other officers should be arrested in your mind, and if you see that they should all four be convicted in this case.
And this is the Floyd family right now?
This is the Floyd family.
To the Floyd family, being silent or not intervening, to me, you're complicit. So I don't see a level of distinction any different. Obviously, the charging and those decisions will have to come through our county attorney's office. Certainly the FBI is investigating that. But to the Floyd family, I want you to know that my decision to fire all four officers was not based on some sort of hierarchy. Mr. Floyd died in our hands, and so I see that as being complicit. So that is about as much as, and I apologize to the Floyd family if I am not more clear, but I don't see a difference in terms of the ultimate outcome is he is not here with us.
You don't see a difference between what Officer Chauvin did and the three other officers some of who kneeled down as well, but some of whom just watched. You see that all as the same act.
Silence and inaction, you're complicit. You're complicit. If there were one solitary voice that would have intervened and act, that's what I would have hoped for. Unfortunately,
that's what you would have expected from your officers, yes?
Absolutely, and that did not occur. So to the Floyd family, I hope that's my response. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much,
do you
Chief.
have
I
another
apologize,
question? What's your response? What's your response to Falonis?
They arrest guys every day. They had enough evidence to fire them, so they have enough evidence to arrest them. I don't know who he's talking to, but I need him to do it because we all are listening. Black Lives Matter.
Sarah, that was an incredible interview that you did, and it was the first time. Hang on, Sarah. But you haven't spoken to anyone at the police department. I'm not sure. Falonis, correct me if I'm wrong. Have you spoken to them directly? So that was really the first interaction that you've had with the police department since your brother's death. So, Sarah, in the course of this broadcast, we have been able to connect the family with the police department through your interview.
That's right. For the first time. I can't tell you, Don, what that's doing to me to hear them have this conversation through me to the chief. Sorry. To hear the pain in the Floyd family's voice and to have to convey that. I hope that I did the right thing for them, because I know that they are hurting so badly. But I do want to recognize that when the police chief, every time I said that the Floyd family has a question for you, he took his hat off.
Yeah.
So he wanted to make sure to be respectful. And I know that they are angry. I know you are angry, and I know you are hurting. And I know it's not enough. You cannot bring George Floyd back. But you heard what he said, that each and every officer who did not speak up against what was happening is complicit. This is the police chief saying that. This is the police chief. Don, have you ever heard that before in your life? I have not. In all of the 12 years I have covered so many protests across the world, and I have never seen a police chief say this. But I know it doesn't cure the ills that the Floyd family is dealing with and that all the people in this neighborhood are dealing with right now. So I hope and pray that I was able to convey what they wanted to the chief in this first time, being able to hear from the chief directly their questions, their concerns.
Sara, I think you're right. I think that Chief Arradondo deserves a lot of credit for doing that. And as we know, it's not the chief's role to convict them, but he did speak out about what he thinks. He said that silence is complicit.